Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Ted.
Whether your favorite system is 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinders, we're going to give you 3 reasons to play them.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
I don't know if you guys have been paying attention or not, but we started doing these live streams, and we had Andrew Armstrong from DFC on, and we kind of went back and forth, and me and him kind of were like disagreeing a little bit. Like, so, nothing huge, but when it comes to 5th edition, he was talking about how he just doesn't feel like there's enough choice. And and then my counter to that argument was, well, and we were like, compared to like 3.5 or Pathfinder, and my counter was Pathfinder and 3.5 had a lot of choices that didn't really mean much. It's a +1 or a +2, like it was a numerical thing that doesn't do anything for me personally.
Right.
But that being said, he's like, now ask me which one I'd rather run. Like, I'd much rather run 5th edition than Pathfinder, but in some ways I'd rather play Pathfinder than 5th edition. And we actually talked about this a little bit today when I was on the live chat with Matt Colville, and we were talking about like a little bit of the differences. It came up, it's like a 30-second blurb in that like hour and 5 minutes or whatever. So that being said, like we kind of bash Pathfinder on this channel a little bit.
I wouldn't say we bash it. We occasionally say that we prefer 5th edition, or we frequently say we prefer 5th edition, and we occasionally say that we don't want all the crunch.
Yeah, jabs have been thrown. That's all I'm saying. Jabs have been thrown. Now, that being said, I you know what? We decided that we'd do a video and talk about the pros, kind of the pros of running each system.
Right.
Instead of just like bashing it and stuff. And there are definitely some things, some talking points and reasons that someone might rather run a 3.5 or a Pathfinder system or any system that is really crunch heavy.
Right.
So like one of the things is it's not going to be because of realism, because that doesn't really apply into a D&D style game.
It's not there. It doesn't matter what
version.
What version you're playing, there isn't a realist effect. A lot of people play a different style of what hit points represent. So you play it however you want, but that isn't going to factor into
right, because there's no insta kills like some other systems.
Right.
So that's not really a factor. But what one of the things where a 5th edition game and a Pathfinder game are vastly different, and they both have strengths, is the rules, right? In 5th edition, the rules are ambiguous and not spelled out.
Pathfinder 3.5, every little nook and cranny has been figured out, and in one of the numerous books, you can find out how to handle that exact situation, almost regardless of what it is.
Right, like there's grappling, there's disarming, there's tripping, there's probably a rule for trick shots. Any of that stuff can be broken down. Where in 5th edition, it's like there's like one ambiguous set of rules that covers all of that. And it's up to the DM to abdicate how it works in their game.
Right.
They're both good, right? In my opinion, they're both good. As a DM, I don't mind for the player going, "Hey, I want to do this," and I don't care if there's not a rule for it. But I could see why someone who's running a Pathfinder style game wants that rule spelled out for them, and to tell them exactly how you handle that situation. What do you do in the game when that happens?
Not everyone is good at running on the fly. Not everyone wants to have to abdicate those decisions. They don't want to have to come up with, well, what do I do here? It's already there. It's already spelled out. Player wants to do X. Turn to page Y. There's the answer.
And there's a certain amount of freedom to that too.
There is,
because you don't have to put the gray matter to it, right? Not saying that those people are less intelligent or less creative, but I mean that in the sense that if the players don't like your ruling, it doesn't actually matter because it's not yours. Paizo told them,
right.
Or and Wizards of the Coast previous told them this is how it works. I'm just following the rules. They can literally pass the buck.
Exactly.
In 5th edition, it's your fault. Love it or hate it, it's your fault. You had to make the call because there's not a rule. The flip side of that is you get to make a ruling, and a player in 5th edition cannot pull out the book and go, but it says on page 33, DMG, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to go, well, I'm the DM and this is how I'm doing it, even if it says that. In, a game that really spells out the rules for you, you're probably going to have to deal with that. And here's the other thing, in my opinion. If you have a rules heavy system and people are playing it and they've chosen to play it for a reason, it's because it's what they like. So they're going to want to quote the rules if the rules out there.
It's true. I've found that we have had far less rules calls playing fifth edition than when we played 3.5.
Yeah, because we really didn't play much Pathfinder at all, just a little bit here and there. But yeah, in 3.5, you're going to the stack of books, you're looking for the rule. In 5th edition, like the player's like, I want to do X, I'm going to do this. The DM's like, all right, well, this is how it works. And then we roll some dice and some fun shit happens, hopefully. But when we played 3rd edition, that wasn't necessarily all the case.
Let's break, let's look, let's find out what to do in this exact situation. And that's something that is a pro for fifth, is that you're not going to be stopping and looking up all those rules.
Right. So they can both be pros in their own way,
Yeah.
right? And so here's another thing, like when it comes to building and playing a character, in 5th edition you just don't have that many choices. Like it's a new system and they don't put a lot of content out. That's the first thing.
I don't even think we can say it's a new system anymore. We got 3 years on our belt.
All right. We're not gonna. Well, it's the newest D&D system, and they're not putting out a lot of content.
They're not that you can certainly say they're not putting out a lot of content.
And then what they are putting out is generally not player options.
But with Pathfinder 3.5, there's literally a stack of books that I could hide behind.
That we could hide behind. There's tons of options. Now, with 5th edition, when you do make choices, I feel like they mean a whole lot more. And you're getting more out of each of those choices. So I like that part. I like where everything's kind of compartmentalized and you can like fit the blocks together in different ways. You don't have as many blocks to change in and out. But when you do put one out, you totally notice. It's noticeable to you playing the character, and probably at some point during gameplay, the other characters or players will notice as well. 3.5 Pathfinder, not so much, because you get a ton of fiddly little bits that you get to play with, and they all combine in different ways.
Right.
And that's what the other players at the table might recognize, is once you put them all together and go, you got a plus 57 to your grapple check. But they're not going to necessarily know like all the pieces you had to put together to get that.
Yep.
So there's that. And if you're the person that likes to tinker and put all the little pieces together, then you're really going to like a system like that.
And there are people out there who love the mathematics, the crunch of putting a character together. There's people who love to optimize. And while you can optimize in 5th edition, there's only so far you can go because of bounded accuracy. Whereas with Pathfinder, you can go to obnoxious levels if you make a character who is geared towards this one particular thing.
So one of the things too is if you're a person that greatly enjoys system mastery, like 5e is probably going to bore the shit out of you. Because there's not a whole lot to master.
Yes.
One, because there's not that much stuff out, and two, there's these big chunks, and once you know how they work, you know the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so many, they fit in your basket nice and neat. Well, when it comes to Pathfinder and 3.5 games, system mastery matters. Like if that's your thing, you want to be playing those games because you really get to work those muscles out. And again, like you have all these different things, and they will neatly fit in a moving van with you. So there's a vast difference there, and a game like Pathfinder is going to be far more rewarding for that person that wants system mastery, wants to show what he can do at the table and bring that out. 5th edition, like I said, is going to be a snooze fest.
And I've talked to people when I've gone to cons, and there's people that they will get on their soapbox and talk about how 5th edition is just not for them. It's too this, it's too that. And if Pathfinder is your game, then by all means, off you go. Enjoy Pathfinder. If you're on the other side, if you're the person that really prefers the more simplified rules light, you don't want to be hounded by choice or too many choices, then 5th edition is the perfect system.
I mean, personally, I would probably play either. You know, like Starfinder is going to be coming out. I would definitely want to check it out. I'm a little put off because it's the Pathfinder rule system, and as I get older, I find I enjoy rules light more. But that's just a personal preference. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. Just like Fourth Edition Dungeons and Dragons wasn't necessarily a bad game. It might not have been the game people liked
Hmm.
or popular, but it was designed well. It did what it was supposed to.
Well, for me personally, as I've said, multiple times over the course of being in Nerdarchy, I like role playing. I like role playing games. I'll play any system as long as I get to role play. The rules just kind of deal with how you handle this situation or that
It's the
situation.
physics in the world,
Yeah.
essentially, right?
Yes.
You know, all role playing games for the most part, um, mechanics are really divorced from the actual role playing in the game. The role playing itself is kind of it's it's not game specific. There are some games that mechanically put things in like bennies that are affected by your role playing, but for the most part, you can completely divorce role playing from the mechanics of a system. It doesn't really matter. Like you can be an awesome role player in Pathfinder 3.5, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, Fate,
Anything else?
Fatal, GURPS. It doesn't really matter anything.
Ultimately, we're all playing a game that has a rule system to go with our make believe, our pretend that we're playing.
I guess like if you want to play Pathfinder, the reasons why you would want to do it would probably be game mastery, well defined rules, as well as I would also say a plethora of
Choice.
choice options because there's things out to buy, right? So there would be the three reasons for you to play Pathfinder over fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Now, if you're looking for three reasons to play fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons over Pathfinder, I'm going to say rules light, which I personally like. It calls
On the
in the
fly.
game, with DM Fiat. So they're the three reasons that I like playing fifth edition over any other system.
So what do you play and why? Why don't you put that down in the comments below? While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.